It's the unhappy
The Cleveland
hour.
Browns were 5-2-1 at home. 5-2-1 at home. I don't know. I can't remember the last time we've won 5 games in a season, let alone 5 games at home. You went to a lot of these games.
2014, they won 5 at home.
Yeah, was that the Brian Hoyer
Yeah.
and Josh Gordon?
They beat the Saints that year at home. They beat the Steelers at home that year. They did have some wins at home that season.
So let's go back to draft night. You wanted Sam Darnold. We clearly got the guy. What does it feel like to you that we clearly have the quarterback to build around, the quarterback of the future? What does that do to the entire process of how you plan for drafts, how you handle free agent signings? What does it do to the whole franchise having Baker Mayfield starting season 2?
I think it totally changes the dynamic. I think it totally changes around the story of this franchise. This is the first time in almost 30 years since Bernie was in his heyday in the late 80s that this team has a franchise quarterback.
God.
Not only do you have a franchise quarterback, you have a franchise running back in Nick Chubb, who I thought, at one point I was like, did they reach on him? But, the guy had an unbelievable season. According to Pro Football Focus, he was the number 1 ranked running back this season.
Well, he didn't play for the first 7 games, right? That makes a big difference.
He averaged 4.17 yards per carry after first contact.
After first contact. Jeez.
The guy was a machine. You get him the ball. Our offensive line, and that's another thing, too. Let me start with the offensive line, too. Zeitler, Treader, and Bitonio made up the best interior O-line in the league. They wound up, according to Pro Football Focus, they were the number 2 offensive line in the league this season. Once Greg Robinson got inserted over Desmond Harrison, that offensive line was a force. Pass blocking were unbelievable, but it also had to do with Baker Mayfield's quick release. But the O-line was incredible. Even Chris Hubbard doesn't get enough credit either. Another great under-the-radar signing by Dorsey. You look at the wide receiving corps. Don't forget, this team went in with aspirations of having a healthy Josh Gordon and Corey Coleman. Corey Coleman was nothing but a disaster. Josh Gordon, we all know the story. Played well for the Patriots, but was never that dynamic one. Failed multiple drug tests. It's just sad to see that story end. And so they went there with the number 2 with Jarvis Landry as their lead receiver, who had a good season. He wasn't dominant, but he was good. And once Hugh Jackson got fired and Antonio Callaway stopped dropping balls, he was fantastic in the second half. Rashad Perryman, another unbelievable signing by Dorsey. It may come mid-season, and Perryman was fantastic on the deep routes for the Browns. And then you look at Rashard Higgins, a restricted free agent. The Browns have their pieces in place. They do need to add a number 1 receiver though to that team. You had and David Njoku was good too. You had a number 1 receiver though, your offense is completely set. Left tackle, obviously you're never going to have another Joe Thomas. There's a reason why the guy was a Hall of Famer and will be a Hall of Famer, first ballot one. Greg Robinson filled in nicely. It'd be nice to see the Browns resign him. He was a nice piece. Let's go over to the defensive side of the ball. Myles Garrett's a cornerstone there. Larry Ogunjobi's a cornerstone. Emmanuel Ogbah kind of disappeared in the second half of the season. You really didn't hear his name much. Yeah. They could add another defensive end, another pass rusher, and they could add another defensive tackle, a nice run stuffer. They did give up too many big running plays during the season.
Yeah, and that's the Greg Williams question. What did you make of Greg Williams in that defense? Because, where did we end up ranking? I guess there's different metrics you can use.
The defense ranked, I think, 27th at the end of the year. The defense gave up a lot of yards. They gave up a lot of points. They couldn't stop the run. But, again, you can't – don't forget, this is a football team that went 0-16 a year ago. You cannot fill in every piece overnight and go, okay, this team is all suddenly a 12-win football team. You need to fill in the pieces. Keeping Hugh Jackson too long didn't help either. That's another story. At linebacker, you have a piece in Joe Schobert, who's one of the best middle linebackers in the league. You've got Denzel Ward, you've got Jabril Peppers, and you've got, Demarius Randall. You have all the cornerstones you need. There's a couple pieces you still need to add in free agency. Again, I'd like to see them add another wide receiver in free agency. I'd like to see them add another, a player on the O-line just for depth purposes, because we don't know about Austin Corbett yet. They definitely need to have a defensive tackle, edge rusher, and a couple of outside linebackers. Once you do that, this team can sit there and win 12, 13 games year in, year out for the next 3 to 4 years.
$80 million to spend in free agency. We have 11 picks in the next 7 rounds of the draft.
Here's another thing that's even better, which I don't think people are realizing now. Tom Brady's up there in age. He's still a great player. Don't get me wrong, but he's not the best player in the NFL like he was. Even last year. The Patriots are starting to fall off. Phillip Rivers is almost 40. How many years left does he have? Same with Roethlisberger. He was not dominant like he used to be. The waves are changing now in the AFC. You're going to see these teams. So the future of the AFC are the Texans, the Chiefs, the Browns, and the Colts.
That's so interesting.
And maybe Baltimore. But I still just don't think Lamar Jackson is going to have, he's going to have the career longevity. I just don't see his career. I don't see him having a long career. He doesn't have longevity because he runs the ball too much and he's still skinny. It's nothing against Lamar Jackson. His accuracy isn't there right now. And he played a hell of a football game the other day. But you can't sit there and take 20, and run the ball 20 to 25 times a game as a quarterback without getting hurt. It's going to happen eventually. It's just not sustainable. It's not a sustainable play for a quarterback.
I'm completely with you there.
This is something that reminds me of Vince Young's rookie year.
Vince Young more than Mike Vick?
What?
Mike Vick more than Vince Young or more Vince Young?
It's more. Here's the thing. It reminds me of Vince Young as a rookie. Vince Young never developed. I want to see year 2 of Lamar Jackson. Is he a 13-win quarterback or is he one, gets reverted and the Ravens wind up having to go back up like RG3? I mean, don't forget, it could be a whole RG3 scenario again where he gets hurt. And I liked RG3 his rookie year. He's a great quarterback. RG3 was a better passer than Lamar Jackson was. There's no doubt about that.
Right.
But as a runner, Lamar Jackson's far advanced. But again, I don't know how long he can keep it up for. You look at the Browns, as soon as they made adjustments in the second half, they completely shut him down.
Yeah. Well,
and that's what you're going to see next year. It's almost the Tebow effect. It's the Lamar Jack. It's the Vince Young effect. These guys are able to do this for a year and a half until teams start to figure him out. And unless he develops an arm and everything and his accuracy improves, it's going to be a long, long time for the Ravens. I think Harbaugh did a fantastic job with Lamar Jackson. Like I said, I don't think it's over for them. He's only developing. Let's see what happens in the wild card game against the Chargers this weekend. That's where you really start to see things, change in how things work. Because it's the playoffs. You're facing the best teams. If he goes and gets smothered and does nothing offensively, then we know. The problem is, if he can't rely on the run, it's not hard for San Diego to stop the pass at that point. And that's the problem. Baker Mayfield, he's got such a quick release, he's always going to have receivers that are open.
Baker's just so
That's why
doggone.
I like Baker Mayfield long-term over Lamar Jackson.
So impressive this season. There's not a throw that Baker can't make. He finds the throwing lanes in that pocket. He moves around in that pocket better than so many players at the top of
I'm going to tell you, it's going to be a fun future to watch the AFC with these 4 quarterbacks between Mahomes. I love Deshaun Watson. I just remember him playing the Browns. Not only can Watson run the ball, but wow, is he he's got an unbelievable arm. He really does. And now you're finally seeing what DeAndre Hopkins can do with a quarterback like Watson. He was a star this year. I mean, DeAndre Hopkins was incredible. And with Andrew Luck being back to Andrew Luck, you have 4 unbelievable quarterbacks sitting in the AFC, that are young. I'm talking below the age of 25. I think Phillip Rivers is still doing great. But again, Phillip Rivers is getting towards the end of his time. He's almost 40 years old. The Broncos don't really have anyone. The Raiders are a total mess. The AFC North is what is going on with Antonio Brown? Where's Le'Veon Bell going to be next season? What's the future of Ben Roethlisberger at this point? Cincinnati Bengals are a complete mess. Their next coach is either going to be Hugh Jackson or Vance Joseph, who I'd rather have Vance Joseph than Hugh Jackson. Although, being a Brown fan, I would much rather see them with Hugh Jackson.
Yeah. What do you take with the Cleveland Browns this year? What do you take away from the Greg Williams experiment? Because that's the question now. What do we do at head coach? He just interviewed for his own position. I mean, I guess it was for, not the interim head coach, but interviewing for a new thing. What did you attribute to the turnaround? Was it just addition by subtraction, getting rid of Hugh
It was just, I mean,
Haley.
You added a ton of talent. I think you took the losing culture out of the football team. You know, the biggest thing with the Browns turning around was Baker Mayfield even said, what you're getting in him is you're going to get a guy who can turn around the culture of this football team.
Right.
They've never had a piece that could turn around the culture until Baker. I love the cocky attitude. It is the best. You know, he gave you that LeBron-style attitude, and that's what I love about him. And that's one thing I can't take away from LeBron. LeBron has that Muhammad Ali in him, where he just says, "I'm the greatest." Doesn't give a crap what anybody else thinks. He knows he's the greatest. That's the one thing I do love about LeBron. His cockiness, his arrogance, and he backs up his play all the time. He does. Look at all the game-winning shots over the last few years he's had.
Oh, of course. Of course. This stretch has been unbelievable.
Last year, the winner against the Pacers, the winner against the Raptors. Don't forget 16 in the finals. And don't forget in 15, in his first year, remember the shot against the Bulls? That propelled the Cavs to win the series, the three-pointer at the buzzer?
The bank shot.
That wasn't a bank shot.
That wasn't a bank?
No.
No, wait. Are you talking the spin around, or you're talking off of 1 foot? There were two against.
I'm talking the corner three that won us game 5 of the Eastern Conference.
Well, wait. Am I confusing the Raptors? It was full court, coast to coast, and off 1 foot. The bank shot.
Yeah, that was against the Raptors this past season.
And then the Bulls was a turnaround.
I'm talking about the one in 2015, where he corner three against Chicago Bulls in Game 5 of the conference semis.
There we go. Gotcha. Yep. Clutch.
Okay, that's what I'm saying though. LeBron has always backed up his play. Baker Mayfield did the same thing.
Oh yeah, he did.
Obviously, they're not on the same level. Baker's not LeBron yet. But Baker has the chance to be a legend, go down as a Cleveland sports legend. I mean, he really does. And wait till he shows it on the national stage when the Browns are featured on national TV 5 times next year.
Yeah, we will be. A lot of them.
Wait till they're featured on Sunday Night Football against the Rams or Monday Night Football against the Rams or the Seahawks, in a home game in Brown Stadium. It's going to be nuts. Just wait till you get to see it. The fans are re-energized here. Brian, for the last 5 years, I don't see anybody wearing Browns clothes. Never saw anybody wearing Browns clothes. Every day now, people are coming out of the woodwork wearing their Browns clothes. I've always been a Browns fan. I've always worn my Browns clothes. Never been embarrassed to wear them. I've always owned my Browns fandom. I always have. I've never been afraid to wear my Browns stuff. I love them more than anything. They've always been my favorite team in town. I do love the Indians and the Cavs, but I've always loved the Browns. And that's the thing. Like, I don't miss a Browns game. I saw every game of the year when they were 0-16. I don't miss games. I love that team. And to see that they're finally relevant again. And next year, I mean, Brian, they won 7 games. As long as they won 12, as long as they won 14, they won 7 freaking games. And the town's going nuts over them. That's how many people love this team.
Yeah.
Wait till they're a legitimate playoff team next year. And again, they bring in, like you said, $80 million of cap room, 11 draft picks, and a new head coach. This team, I don't even want to speculate on the head coaching position at this point because there's so many candidates being.
I know, but I got to narrow it down. Why not Greg Williams? At least tell me that.
I just don't think it's going to be Greg. I think it's more likely going to be Freddie Kitchens than it will be Greg Williams.
And that's because you fear that he'll get a head coaching offer if we don't lock him in?
Yeah, it's not like they're a combo together. No matter what, Freddie Kitchens is under contract. If they hire a new head coach and they want to keep Freddie, they'll keep Freddie. But if you don't hire him now, he's going to get a head coaching job in a year or two working with Baker.
So if you had to pick, I know you said you don't even want to, but I got to drill down. Would you offer it to Freddie? Would you retain Greg Williams? Would you try to bring in Arians, then keep both of the coordinators? Because
I would try to bring in Arians into a head coaching waiting situation with Freddie Kitchens, a 3-year window. But I don't know. You know what? At this point, I fully trust Dorsey. If Dorsey's the one hiring, and it's Ollie Highsmith, John Dorsey, and Elliott Wolf, I'm going to just let it go to their hands. They did an unbelievable job with this team this season. It's just proof what a horrible coach Hugh Jackson was, though. That was the thing. Hugh Jackson was just the worst coach of all time. Looking back at it now, Brian, we saw some of the worst football we have ever seen this year from teams like the Cardinals, the 49ers, the Raiders, even the Jets. those teams all win to win multiple games. That just proves what a horrible, horrible coach Hugh Jackson is. Whereas most of the time they weren't even competitive. Think about that for a minute. 1 win in 32 games is almost impossible.
And I was the dummy.
As bad as the Browns,
who
they should have won at least 8 or 9 of those games.
Well, I think DeShone Kizer cost us about 4 of them last year with all the turnovers in the red zone. But
I mean,
either
you want
way,
to talk about one of the biggest steals of all time. You traded DeShone Kizer, just one of the worst quarterbacks of all time, for Demarius Randall, a borderline Pro Bowl safety.
Demarius Randall was great this year. A lot of
He was
swagger.
fantastic.
I know. I look, and I'm with you. I'm going to trust whatever John Dorsey does. If John Dorsey the move that he makes, I'm going to give it time. I was the silly dude who was trying to say, give Hugh Jackson 3 years. He doesn't have any talent on his team. But you see, halfway through the season, it's like, why wasn't Baker starting from day one?
And the thing is, I think Hugh Jackson was fighting for his job, but he would have fought for his job better with Baker Mayfield. Not having the balls to go for it on 4th and a half an inch, against the Raiders was a joke. And punt the football, and they lost. Hugh Jackson always played not to lose, and he lost. He never played to win. And that was his problem. He always played it too safe. And that was the problem with him. He just was a terrible coach. I hope he gets the Bengals job, and I hope they go 0-16 next year.
I know. It would be too good for us to let him. And I don't know what they're doing. I don't know if that sweetheart deal's already been struck with the Cincinnati management or what. I don't know if an endorsement from the guy that is out the door, Marvin Lewis, is going to matter for much. Who knows? But yeah, I hope he goes and becomes the coach down there. I'd love to go ahead and whoop on him for the next couple of years till he's fired again. But
here's the thing, though. It's not like the Bengals are that bad of a team. When Andy Dalton's healthy, they're not that bad of a football team. He's still a very good quarterback.
Yeah, Andy and AJ were injured. It just destroyed him, obviously. I do understand that. What is bringing me a lot of pleasure is watching the Pittsburgh Steelers. It's almost like that episode of Seinfeld where George becomes Elaine and Elaine becomes George. Their roles have reversed. One becomes successful.
George gets the job it's when Elaine shot. Well, there were a couple where, but that's the one, where Jerry was even Steven. Kramer had the and George, everything Georgia was the opposite, and Elaine's luck was just terrible.
And it was, you're looking at the dumpster fire in Pittsburgh, and you're looking at the brightest future ever in Cleveland, going, wow, we have totally reversed fortunes. This is the first time
Pittsburgh's ever started to turn, not only Pittsburgh's a dumpster fire, they went 9-6-1.
No, I mean with Antonio Brown wanting out, and Le'Veon Bell wanting out, and Ben being 40.
With Roethlisberger aging, and with players questioning Mike Tomlin, it's becoming a challenge at this point. And what do you do if you're Pittsburgh? Pittsburgh is arguably the best run organization in the NFL over the last 45, 50 years. Give me an organization that's been run better than the Steelers.
Yeah, Patriots, but that's been for 20 years.
Pittsburgh hasn't fired a coach in 50 years. Think about that for a second. Chuck Noll retired. Bill Cowher retired. They have not fired a coach in almost 50 years. Think about that for a second. How crazy is that?
Yeah, that is pretty crazy. We'll see what Omar Epps does. It's going to be an interesting offseason to see what happens with Tom. I can't look at Mike Tomlin and not think of Omar Epps.
He does look just like him. He does.
Oh, my God. I'm waiting for House to walk around the corner. But anyway, it's fascinating to look at such a bright future for the Browns. What about Denzel Ward and his injuries and his concussions?
Listen. Give him 9 months to heal. He'll be fine.
You think he's going to be able to change that technique?
He got smashed by a tight end. He should have never made that tackle. He got smashed.
But that's a pattern. They've been warning him since the preseason.
I was right there. The guy never had a concussion in his life up until this season. He had 2. I don't think it's the end of the world.
Okay. I would hope so. He's a cornerstone to build around. But it does concern me.
He was unbelievable this season when he was healthy. He was fantastic. Here's another thing. The Browns, I would love to have a piece like Josh Allen, the outside linebacker from Kentucky in this draft. Getting a guy like Dexter Lawrence from Clemson, the defensive tackle. Even grabbing a guy like Draymond Jones would be a huge fit for the Browns. I fully expect the Browns to trade up in the second round, maybe even move back in the first to get that high-level talent because they do have so many mid-round picks. But, I mean, look at this. Look what Dorsey hit on in the middle rounds. Antonio Callaway, 4th-round pick. Guy's a stud. I mean, he was unbelievable in the second half of the season once he got rid of the jitters. You know, this guy didn't even play in 2017.
Right,
he didn't play college ball in 17. He was suspended. Okay? Look at what Jannard Avery did in the 5th round. Had 40 pressures this season. Second highest for any rookie behind Bradley Chubb. Had a fantastic season. You know, it's not like Dorsey didn't hit in the middle rounds of the draft. He did. Don't forget what he did in Kansas City. Kareem Hunt in the 3rd round. Tyreek Hill in the 5th round. The guys hit home runs all over the place in the middle rounds of the draft.
And we have 11 picks in the next 7 rounds of the draft.
I mean, yeah, and I have total faith in Dorsey. I mean, he filled in, don't forget, left tackle, pressing need in the offseason. Right tackle, pressing need. Quarterback, filled it. Running back, filled it. Don't forget, we got a 5th-round pick for Carlos Hyde who did diddly squat with the Jaguars.
Yeah, we signed him. It's almost like we rented him for a couple of months to trade it for a 5th-round pick. It got me thinking, are there other players that we could sign to similar deals to trade them mid-season for draft picks?
You always have to look at that. I mean, I don't think Tyrod has any value. I mean, he's a free agent anyway. But there are guys who will be available to be a backup quarterback to Baker Mayfield. You never know who will be needed. You know, and I love how people are there. It's funny. Colin Cowherd's equally comparing. You know, I'd rather have the Jets job. They have more cap room than the Browns. And Darnold's 2 years younger than Mayfield, so he'll be better. They're not even in the same class. Baker Mayfield reminds me of Brett Favre. Sam Darnold he's got his ups and his downs, but he's not I don't think he is a very good quarterback. I think he's okay. It's the same thing at USC. He gets plagued by turnovers. He's a turnover machine. Don't forget, Baker broke the rookie touchdown record in 13 and a half games.
Thank you.
Not 16, 13 and a half.
Thank you. 13 and a half games. That's a big deal. I mean, when he passed, who was it? It was Peyton Manning and Russell Wilson. I mean, That's kind of an impressive, and he didn't even have the whole season to do it. We have something special, and it makes being a Browns fan just absolutely amazing after the lowest of the low last year. I mean, the ceiling is so high for this team now. We'll see. What I'm thinking we should do is let's wait and see what John Dorsey does at head coach, see what goes on with the coordinator positions, and what'd you say? It sucks that we have to wait how many months? Was it 7 months?
We have to wait 9 months for the first regular season game. That's what sucks.
Horrible.
I mean, but don't forget, the offseason free agency is going to be fun. You know they're not going to go out there. They're not going to go sign 20 players like they did last year. You don't need. The roster doesn't require that kind of turnover. If they wind up, I would love to wind up this offseason with a guy like Frank Clark from Seattle. Don't forget, if he doesn't get franchised by the Seahawks, don't forget, Frank Clark is from Cleveland. He's a Michigan guy, but it doesn't matter. Frank Clark is incredible. The guy I think had 14 sacks this year. He's a free agent. I would love for the Browns to get Frank Clark. He'd be up there. I'd love a guy like Shaq Barrett from the Broncos, outside linebacker. The Browns can really fill in a lot of their needs via free agency if they need to. And then what you do is you attack the draft and you take the best available player, whether that's N'Keal Harris, the wide receiver from Arizona State, whether that's a defensive tackle like Dexter Lawrence from Clemson. There are so many good defensive linemen in this draft. The Browns aren't going to feel compelled to have to trade up to get one of the guys. There's a lot of them. There's not much of a difference. I mean, obviously Nick Bosa is a superstar, but again, there is plenty of talent on the defensive line. There's guys like Rashawn Gary coming into the draft. There's a lot of talent coming in there, and the Browns can wind up with a star, and if they develop them properly, it'll be huge for the organization.
Yeah, and I mean, you saw we traded Danny Shelton away to the Patriots for a 3rd-round pick.
But again, Danny Shelton was inactive at the end of the season. He wasn't even playing.
Yeah. It's just, it was that defensive lineman that we thought was going to be a cornerstone. Didn't play out.
That was under the Patton Farmer era. Ray Farmer's arguably the worst general manager in NFL history.
Yeah.
I mean, he was horrible. He depleted the skill position, and Sashi Brown wasn't very good at developing. Sashi Brown wasn't very good at eyeing talent. However, he did a good job of stripping the roster down to studs and trading for picks and adding draft capital. He did do that correctly.
Yeah,
but he was not able to have time. He had some talented pieces. Let's not forget, he did draft Jabril Peppers, who's been good. He did draft Joe Schobert.
It was
I believe he drafted Schobert, unless Farmer did.
And Njoku?
I believe he drafted Njoku. He did get some cornerstones in there, but he was not able to develop the quarterback. Corey Coleman was a colossal bust.
Yeah, that was bad. Well, remember, he also traded for Brock Osweiler, which turned into Nick Chubb. Am I thinking of that right?
Yes. No, you are thinking of that correctly. But don't forget, he did pass on Carson Wentz.
Yeah.
Now that might be looking better considering his injury history.
Uh-huh.
But he passed on Deshaun Watson and Pat Mahomes.
Yeah. Yeah. There's nothing you can say about John Dorsey's track record that doesn't... It's just going to instill confidence for the fan base, for you, for me, people across the league. I mean, this is a very attractive place to play. It's a very attractive team to put onto
they have a top-notch practice facility. And again with Baker, they're going to be able to track whatever free agent they want this year. If a player wants to play in Cleveland, which you'll finally see, they're going to finally be able to land free agents. Don't forget, a couple of years ago, Sashi tried to land Tony Jefferson with an amazing offer. He ultimately went to Baltimore because he knew the Browns suck.
Yeah.
There's a difference. Players aren't coming here at the tail end of their careers now to take one final contract anymore, like the Willie McGinnis of the world,
Willie McGinnis,
to play for the Browns.
Or the how many receivers did we bring in? How many bums? Kenny Britt. Some of these contracts. Ugh.
There's a total difference in what the Browns are able to do now compared to what they were doing, a couple of years ago. And you're going to see players take less money to sign with the Browns than go play for the Jets.
That's awesome.
The Browns have their franchise quarterback. Imagine if the Browns would have taken Darnold and Mayfield would have went to the Jets. We'd be wondering what if again.
Nah, I'm good. I like where we're at right now. Rob is
Darnold
in the chat.
I'll never forget being at that Browns-Jets game on Thursday night when Baker came in and just lit up the field. He's in a completely different league than Sam Darnold. They're not even in the same league. Baker's hands down a better quarterback. It's not even close.
Yeah, his debut was just absolutely electric. And
he was on fire.
Yeah, absolutely. And to be there for that had to be a blast, man. In the chat room, Rob is saying about Baker, he did break the record in 13 and a half games, but it's a much different league 10 to 20 years later. It's geared way more for QBs to succeed. It's a pass-happy league. Don't get me wrong, Baker's
Russell
legit.
Wilson was how many? Russell,
just saying.
One, Peyton Manning, the Colts always threw the ball number one. Let's go to that real quickly. Colts always threw the ball. Peyton Manning had 55 touchdowns just a few years ago. Nothing really changed. Next, there was that with Peyton Manning.
Right.
And then, don't forget, Russell Wilson was only a few years ago. It's not like it was 10, 15 years ago with Russell Wilson.
All right. Good point. There's something about Baker understanding what is expected of him, that he knows the reads, he knows where the receivers are supposed to be, and he's just putting the ball in the spots that are needed. The release is so fast that the defenses can't even catch up to it. I can't be much happier and much more excited for the future, knowing that the most important position on the team is on lockdown. And he seems to be one of our own. He really seems to be a Cleveland guy. And the national media taking swings at him, and I'm not surprised, but I'm not letting it get me down either. I'm completely excited for this Browns team, and I'm not going to let Mary Kay Cabot, and I'm not going to let Colin Cowherd or some of these other sports reporters try to turn it into Baker being immature, this, that, and the other. Oh, he looked at Hugh Jackson. Oh, he made a motion on the sidelines. Enough. Just stop. His play is absolutely incredible. And that's what's bringing me, to the most excited I've been about a Browns team. Oh, God. I mean, are we going back to the AFC Championship teams with Bernie? I can't remember ever being this excited, thinking that our future is as bright as it is right now. So, completely amped for it. I don't know, man. Zach, Happy New Year. Thank you for joining us today. Did you have any other final thoughts
Brian.
on the Browns? Any way to wrap this up in a bow with the head coaching search, the future, what we learned this year?
Let's just hope the head coaching search goes well for agency. we'll have a free agency and a draft preview coming up soon as well.
Oh, okay. So, all right, we will put the free agency and the draft kind of on the back burner. We'll reconnect for those for sure. And final comment from Rob. He's just saying, look at Baker's attempts. Much higher attempts. On a side note, no picks in the red zone. And that was something that
The Browns were dominant. The Browns were absolutely dominant in the red zone this season.
Unreal. Just the exact opposite of Deshaun Kaiser. He was a turnover machine last year, and Baker was just almost completely inhumanly perfect in the red zone. And that's just one of my favorite things about life right now. So, all right, buddy. Zach, we'll keep an eye on the Cavs. We'll do more shows. I promise you 2019 will be a little bit more similar to 2016, 2017. I miss talking to you, and I'm glad to hear everything's going well for you. And
okay,
it's a new heyday for Cleveland sports. It's going to be the Browns leading the way. We'll see what the Indians do. That's a whole other subject for another day. I'm sure we'll have plenty to say about it after these winter meetings and see if the tribe does in fact pull the trigger on any of these rumored deals. But we'll cross that bridge when we get there. Zak Baris, follow him on Twitter. He's at ZBaris, ZBaris. And I will talk with you again soon, buddy. Thanks for your time.
All right, see ya.
There he goes, everybody. Zak Baris. Thank you very much for watching. If you're watching over here, subscribe on youtube.com/TheNewAmericanMedia. If you're watching over here, invite all your friends into this private sports group. My name is Brian Engelman, signing out. Go Browns, go Indians, go Cavs, go Buckeyes. Talk to you in a few. Peace.